This is the most underrated system any founder can build right now in 2026. An operating system for their actual life that runs inside Obsidian and uses Claude Code as the brain. If you run one or more businesses online and you're trying to 10x your productivity, what everyone keeps promising by using AI, this is the move. It's the only thing that I've built in the last 18 months that actually compounded. And the reason most people don't get it is because they're trying to build some kind of second brain and they have their files all scattered. And the piece almost nobody's talking about is the architecture layer that you need in order for AI to actually understand what you're doing so that it can compound and you can work towards your goals. And that is exactly what we've built here with Founder OS. So the architecture that I'm going to show you today has 5 layers. Layer 1 is the identity foundation. And this is the layer that everyone tends to skip because they go directly into let's get this started, let's get that started. And this is the reason why your operating system then collapses. In the identity piece, this is where you lay out your vision, your mission, your core values, and your operating beliefs. You'll see here, I'll have some yearly goals. I'll have separate things on my personal brand. I'll have separate things for every business that I run. And we'll also have monthly targets, yearly targets, and stuff like that. And now you can see here, I have my mission and operating beliefs. And depending on what it is, it will have notes that connect to various businesses and other systems within our business. We also have the vision and travel profile. So think of this like you have your executive assistant or core main people on your team and you're telling them, hey, this is how I operate. This is how we operate. This is the direction that we're running. And this is what I would like you to check. It's also really important that you explain to Claude that it should always go check this. So for example, if you're telling it about your new ideas and you're saying, hey, why don't we launch these 3 new products today? It will go back to your mission, to your vision, to your goals, and it will be like, hey, based off of what you're trying to accomplish this month, we do not have capacity or time to launch 3 new products today. However, I would recommend focusing on this, this, and this, and this, and it will give you a complete overview and roadmap so that you're always aligned with your goals. Now, let me walk you through the 4 sub pieces within this system. The first sub piece is your vision file. So in here, you'll have your 3 to 10 years future you're building towards. Specific enough so that when a stranger would read this, they would know where you're going and what success means to you. I would not use AI to do this, right? You can use voice messages or even write it down on paper and then put it into your vault. Now, the second piece is your mission file, what you do, who you serve, and why. You can have this personally, as you can see here, as it's part of my life OS, or you can have this for every single business all the way to maybe a specific longer project that you're working on. Now, the third subsystem that you want to have in place is what I would call your core values. If you run a bigger business, you've probably done this exercise for your business. What is it for you personally? Who am I? The non-negotiable core of my identity, the founder principles, how you operate, strategic pillars that guide your decisions, and practices. What do you do daily? What habits and rituals produce the outcomes that you and your businesses have in place? For me, this is discipline, freedom, purpose, authenticity, and growth. And I use data to execute on all of this. So that's really important to me. And each one is then outlined specifically what I do in it. I'm not going to go through all of them in detail, but you need to define this for yourself. The easiest way by far to use something like this is you grab this, you put it into Claude or ChatGPT or whatever you want to use and say, hey, ask me 10, 20, 30 questions about my core values and ask me specific questions. Try to identify my core values, how I think, who I am, how I operate, my strategic pillars, what guides my decisions. And then ChatGPT or Claude will come up with a bunch of answers that will make you think hard and long about how you go about this and how to capture all of this. Then I would go and answer all of these questions with your voice, sit there, maybe think about it longer, and then put it all into these documents and make sure, and we'll cover this shortly, that Claude uses these documents to guide your decisions. Now, these 4 files are locked, so you don't come and change them every day. You also don't let AI go and change them, but you keep them in place to guide your decisions overall, and Claude will come revisit them as we're working towards our weekly, monthly, quarterly goals and make sure that we stay in line with what we have defined here. Layer 2 is your life domains. It could be that you manage your goals somewhere else and you have some kind of goal tracker. However, if you put that information into Obsidian and Claude Code, then they can stay aligned with what your goals are. The reason why so many founders struggle with this is because, as you know, we have health, wellness, relationships and family, personal growth, finances, and one of them will always eat up the other. If you are very strong in growth, probably your relationships will struggle. Your finances may not, but your relationships and your health will usually struggle. So as you know, you can only pick one or two, and you cannot be excellent at all four of them. However, if you have them in here and you're tracking them and you allow this to be scored on a weekly or monthly basis, you can keep track of how you're doing, where you need to optimize, and also keep what you're building aligned with your goals so that you don't get distracted and that you also stay in here personally. Now, not everyone will want to have this detail in here, but I think it's extremely helpful, and it is better than every goal tracking and habit tracker I have ever had to use Claude Code to really bring this all together. Now, finally, once you've defined your identity and you've defined your life domains and all of this, you can use a bunch of questions, pop it into ChatGPT or Claude, and it will help you fill all this out. Be sure to answer truthfully and honestly when you have all those questions, because this is actually guiding your output. And the better your input, the better your output will be. Now, in each of these domains is scored every single week, right? With your weekly review, where you can write down what went well, what didn't go well, and it will ask you a bunch of questions to help you maintain what you have in these domains. Finally, you want to set your yearly goals, your quarterly goals, and that will all cascade down into daily tasks so that you can reach your weekly targets and your monthly targets. So you can write down 1 to 2 goals per domain, maybe more. I would tend to keep it on the lower end, and what on track looks like. Usually you want to define that with a number, right? Some kind of metric that you're looking forward to achieving. And finally, you want to break it down to monthly targets. If your revenue target is to reach 500K a month, then you want to break that down on how you're actually going to get there. How many discovery calls do you need? How much do you need to spend on ads? And what does your closing percentage of your team need to look like in order to hit that? You can do the same for your personal goals, for every business that you run, and put that into Obsidian so that each decision that you make actually uses this as a benchmark. And finally, you know that your daily habits and rituals shape everything that is to come. That will shape all your domain, health, wealth, and business, and you reaching your goals and you making decisions that will take your business and your life to where you want to be. So it's really important that you define your daily rituals, what you're trying to do. You may be really good at this already, right? At keeping track what you'd like to do, whatever it may be. If it's working out, drinking a glass of water in the morning, practicing brain exercises, or doing cold calls to grow your business, whatever it may be, write it down into your practices index so that Claude can later retrieve that and help it map it out. So when you say, hey, I want to build this crazy SaaS idea, Claude will go and revisit this and will go understand, hey, what are your daily practices, rituals? What are your goals? What are you trying to do? And it will tell you, hey, dude, this is probably not going to work out based off of what you're trying to accomplish. And now you're trying to pivot completely, and this might not even work out. When you hear about ChatGPT or Claude being very agreeable, right? Hey, I want to build this. Hey, sure, no problem. Here's an exhaustive list of, what you need to do. And it puts you down this rabbit hole of, building some kind of random SaaS that is going to take 6 months of your life and give you $0 back in return. This is exactly what you want to prevent. And this is where you put everything down based off of your existing patterns, right? So if you run a business and you know how to make money, no matter how much it is, right? Might be 5K a month, might be 50K a month, might be 500K a month. It doesn't really matter. You already have something in place that is making money. And now it is about how do you amplify that and how do you reach your goals, right? If you'd like to go from 5K a month to 50K a month, what do you need to do? How many more discovery calls do you need to have? How much more marketing? How much more ad spend? How much more content will help you get there? And by defining that and putting that down, you can leverage AI to use that to be critical about that and to help you reach your goals. However, if you just go to AI, to any chat box, it will probably try to help you achieve whichever goal you think is most useful on that day where you're prompting it in the chat. This is probably the most important part. is you want to have a cadence for reviewing each of these documents. I already talked about it for the vision, mission, and values, but it's important that you don't just come and change this every single day. If you've defined your mission, your vision, your beliefs, your values, this is something you don't really want to revisit. Maybe annually slightly adjust it depending how you grow, but these are big things. Also your yearly goals and your progress. And the reason why you don't want to come and change this all the time is because this is exactly what keeps you on track, keeps you consistent, and keeps you reaching your goals. And if you don't do this, if you deviate and you suddenly wake up with the idea, I'm going to stop making content, I'm going to focus all my energy on, I don't know, this crazy SaaS idea that I think could be really valuable right now because I saw a social media post yesterday. That is what gets you off track. This system will help you stay on track and help you be consistent so that you can actually reach these goals and take home the reward, whichever it is, what you're looking to do. And you want to make sure that you protect these so that you don't run into that. Now, once you've defined all that, you want to make sure that everything is driven according to these documents. You may have some primary goals and philosophy, and you want to make sure that Claude reads this every time it does something for you. For example, for me, that's never drop the ball, stay on top of everything, track metrics relentlessly so that we can make data-driven decisions, unify Life OS, blend personal and operate. This might be different for you. You might want to have your businesses separately, or you might want to have a vault for each business separately. And I'll talk more about that, how you can share stuff with your team, as that's super important. In your vault, you want to have a structure that Claude can follow. If you mix personal with business, or if you have something business, this might change, be different for you. For me, it's a little bit more complex. Everything, can be put into an inbox. This is where it just comes in, new files, dumps, whatever it is, right? Everything comes into one place and then it gets sorted and put into a new place. We have daily notes. This is something I use a process that I call voice process, where I can voice prompt anything onto my iPhone and it will always be collected and then put into the vault. So what I'll do on a daily basis when I have meetings or whatever, I have something I want to share or put into the vault, I will just record a voice message and then it will automatically pull that from my iCloud and transcribe it and put it into my vault with the right backlinks. We might have personal, we might have business, where we have all of our business stuff related to what we're doing within the organization, within our role. This is not the shared stuff, what we share with our team, but this is what we're working towards within the business. Our active projects, again, this could be personal, business, or both, meetings, people, ideas, and patterns for workflows and stuff like that, SOPs, reviews, and AI outputs. So what's really important is that you train your LLM or AI or this system to recognize what is done by an AI and what is done by you as a human. So everything that the LLM does and drafts and puts out, it does it initially in this AI output file so that nothing is confused with what I've actually given it. So for example, in my project, I have a folder for YouTube, and then I have my YouTube research and my videos, and then you'll find everything on this video here researched in here, right? We have keywords that we research, we have competitive, gap, competitors, other transcripts, what people are talking about, what they've tried, and so on. And then we have everything, what I'm doing, AI broke that down, it gave me a description, and so on. It also linked to a bunch of sources that I could go and open up and share with you right here and now. If we're talking about Obsidian, we can just go open that up and we can talk about different things that might be useful for us. Once you've established that and you have everything in place, we're going into level 5, which is your daily process, your review. I've already talked about my voice notes that I use on a daily basis, but how do you use Claude and Obsidian and this Founder OS system to actually be productive and to move closer towards your goals? Many of you may be asking, well, how do you plug this into Claude Code? How do you use that? The easiest way to use that is just by plugging in Claude Code into a folder that you already use. You can do so on Claude Cowork. You can do so with Claude Code in your terminal. Personally, I think you should do it in the terminal just because it's easiest. You open up a terminal and you go into the folder where you want to be. I would go to Founder OS, and then we can use all of the files that we have here, and we can use Claude Code to go through our skills and do whatever we want to do. We could also do that in something like VS Code, where I was just prepping this YouTube video, and we can just open up another terminal and we can type in Claude, and then we're in the Founder OS situation room. And we can see here on the left, because we're using something like Visual Studio, we have all of our folders, which we have in the Founder OS already in here. We can open up things like daily notes, whatever, and it will just open up the files that we have here. We can see all of our projects and everything in one place. So when you do open up something like Visual Studio, you can just go and say, hey, go open up a new folder, open folder, select the folder where you have everything in place. For me, this is the folder where I have the Founder OS, and then you have all of your files. You also have something called the env file, which is your environment file, where you store all of your passwords and secret keys to access any kind of applications that you want to access. You also have something called AI agents and hooks within the Claude setting here. We have agents, and this will have a file that is called Obsidian MD. This will have the instructions on what it should do, where it finds stuff, and so on. I'm also going to link this template below so that you have all of that and you can just give it all the information that you want. So the easiest way to get all this set up as quickly as possible is you go create the folder structure in your Claude in this one folder, call it Founder OS, call it your business name, call it whatever you want, right? Just give it one specific name, feed it all that information, make sure it has a structure to follow so that it's always the same and that it knows where to put what and that it knows where to find everything. That is probably the most important part. Now, let me show you exactly what makes this 10 times more useful than any just simple Claude Code Obsidian vault. You want to give it very clear conventions and tags. And this is something that I defined here for this system. For me, what works for you may be completely different. You have different properties that you can add here. So for example, you could add properties. If you're tracking your social media, you could track something like, hey, how many likes did it get? Or whatever it may be. So this property is really up to you, and you can create more just using AI. You can go into Claude Code and say, hey, these things are important for me. These are the metrics that I'm tracking, and this is what I would like to do. For me, it's really, when was this note created? What is this type? Does it have some tags? And these tags are searchable, right? This is what interconnects everything. So this is now YouTube research. Anything that I search for YouTube, or if I look in the YouTube knowledge graph, I will see everything about YouTube. It will also categorize it, and it will give me related files for this specifically. It will recognize, hey, in your Life OS, you've defined that YouTube is probably important to you, and that's why this is connected. We can go and add more properties, but what's more important than that, it gives me sources and backlinks. These are all things that were defined from the beginning. So I taught it to do this, and I said, based off of the skills that we have in place, whenever you do these kinds of documents, I want you to do this and this and this and this, and add these backlinks. And this is what makes Obsidian and Claude Code so powerful, because next time I will ask it for a YouTube video, it already knows all of the other videos that I did. It has my transcripts, it has these tags, the research, everything about it, and it can make the content so much better and more thorough than just if I go to ChatGPT and say, hey, I would like to make a video about Obsidian and Claude Code. So this is your system. This is the Founder OS, which is completely different from just a standard setup within Obsidian and Claude Code. All right, so if you want the folder structure and the templates that I shared and this 5-layer architecture with some skills and some hooks to set you up from the beginning so that you can literally just import your stuff and use the same structure, you can go grab it. I put it into my free Skool community below. You can just go click the link, join, and if you got value from this video, leave a comment below with what you're missing right now or what you would like to see next. I read every single comment and I use it to guide me on what to create next. My goal with this channel is simple. I want to help 10,000 entrepreneurs actually create stuff that matters instead of just following every new AI trend, actually make more money with their business or have more time freedom with their family using AI to get them there. The Founder OS is the direct path that I've found is simple and does exactly that. The second brain or whatever all these other systems are, they don't always do that. And if you want to see how you can use that, for example, to accelerate your business by running more ads, I'll link a video about that, how I explain how you can use the Meta Ad CLI right up there. So go watch that one now so that you can run more ads more effectively.